Good evening. Welcome to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team FYN Sports. Joined now, as always, by Jeff Kate at the Jeff Kate on Twitter and the old ball coach, Coach Mark Stone. Guys, how we doing?
Doing great. Second week. Let's get rolling. Let's keep this thing headed toward Nashville or Chattanooga.
Oh man, brutal.
Oh,
No, I mean, for years and years and years, that was the case for sure, Coach Stone. But yeah, to kind of echo on what you just said, definitely glad to be here. Another good playoff Friday night. There were some really good matchups we were going to talk about. A lot of close finishes, and just about your mix of good games and kind of blowouts there. But some of our teams got knocked out. A few of them still move on. So we'll dive into that here in a little bit for sure.
okay. Go ahead.
That first week, there's a lot of blowouts, ones and fours. But, I've always looked at it when we got it to that. I've always looked at it as, there's 30 to 50 young men on a team that got to play one more game, say he played in the state playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely there. Before we dive into what happened last week, I want to ask you guys the biggest shock from last week. What really caught you guys off guard? Maybe a team that went down or maybe a team that won.
I guess I'll start with this one. Just kind of thinking off the top of my head, I think I'm not surprised this team beat this other team, but I'm really surprised Meigs County got bounced out in the second round of the playoffs, this past week against Trousdale. Am I surprised Trousdale County got the victory? No, absolutely not, because that is a really good football team and kind of a really tough second round draw for Coach Fitzgerald's squad. So, I guess I'm more surprised that Meigs didn't get over 10 points. They only scored 8. So, I mean, if you had to ask me what my biggest surprise of that was, it wasn't necessarily Meigs County losing. It's just that they barely got over a touchdown. They didn't even get, double-digit points. So that was my biggest surprise from last week.
I was talking to a McMinn County coach, and they felt like, I think that was a 2-3 matchup, right? But they were talking about Powell, how good Powell was, and this Nolan kid that we've been told about, and they said Powell was just a whole lot better football team than they were, and they were big, very quick, and very dominant. But I know good days and better days are ahead for McMinn County, but you don't sit here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and get the number 2 player in the nation moving to your on the second week of practice. But he just told me, he said they were a very good football team,
And that they are. Powell's been good for a few years running now. Jeff, we talked a little bit last week about a football game that happened over in Evansville, Ray County and Carnes. Now, you said that there'd be over 615 yards of total rushing?
Yeah, give or take for sure.
And how close was that to being over?
Well, let me just pull up the old handy calculator app here on the phone. I got kind of the overview of the game here. So as we talked about last week, Ray County had, their sophomore back, Ethan Davis, 359 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns for the Eagles. Meanwhile, let's see. And we also talked about the Mr. Football semifinalists out of Carnes, a 2023 Tennessee target, and Deshaun Bishop. He had 255. So that makes a grand total of 614 total rushing yards. So
wow. If you're 615, you took the under. You were safe by a yard.
You're the man, Jeff Kate.
That is fantastic.
So, I mean, that's just, just like King Henry, Derrick Henry on the sideline, will definitely crown me. No, I'm just kidding for sure.
You are the man.
Well, it's funny. Well, what's funny, because one of our previous guests, Cowboy Joe Varner from the Red Zone, he actually was on site for that game, being a Ray County guy. So, obviously, total professional, unbiased reporting. Of course, sarcasm there for sure. We definitely know how that went. But he just said, like, it was one of the things I heard him during one of his call-ins, just said, it was so hard to keep up with, like, putting stuff on social media because it was just like back and forth, back and forth. There was a score like every so often. It was crazy. So,
Jeff, you got to remember one thing: the offensive line up front, man.
Yes.
Those guys should have took their offensive linemen out for dinner Monday night. Are those two kids? Both of them. Davis is a sophomore.
Yes.
And
Bishop is a 23 target for Tennessee, so he's I think he's a sophomore as well, or a junior.
Sophomore,
yeah. So between both of those guys, over 600 yards rushing and 10 total touchdowns. You do the math. It was definitely a lot of firepower and a lot of explosion going on there at Bill Horton Field on Friday night in Evansville for sure.
That'd be hard to do if there was no defense over there, right?
I mean that's like daggum Madden, NFL type offensive output right there for sure. It's like when you take off when you make the defense, it's easy, but in 5A football in the second round, there's no such thing. So I think Quick kind of mentioned. I think we mentioned it too last week a little bit when we had Scott McMahon on. I don't think we obviously knew Carnes had not met a team like Ray County all season. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of wondering if Powell has seen a team like this, and I'm going to say they have not. So I kind of want to see the powerful machine that Powell has been the last couple of years, like you mentioned, Wes, go up against a team that has put up this kind of offensive output, including a guy like we talked about in Ethan Davis. I mean, he is over the 1,300 rushing, 1,300 yards rushing in the last 4 games alone. So he has been the guy that Caleb Martin in the Ray County offense has laid or has relied on in a big way. It's given them success. They're in the quarterfinal round, and probably the most anticipated matchup, at least to me in this area, is this matchup. We'll probably dive into a little bit more when we do the previews for this week, but I say that's going to be a heck of a game up in Knoxville. I wish it was in Evansville so we could all go see it, but we'll see how that happens for Coach Pemberton's squad on Friday.
Coach Stone, as you know, I went down to Bradley Central last Friday night, watched Bradley Central play Farragut. Farragut, a team coming off of a win in overtime. They put up 58 points last week. So you knew Bradley Central was going to have a tough test going up against that high-powered Admiral offense. Bradley Central was down 17-7 at halftime. They claw right back in it after a Aiden McClary long touchdown run, 50-something yards. They get back in there, exchange field goals, end up losing by 3, 27-24 to Farragut. Coach Stone, your thoughts about Bradley Central's year this year?
I think you can put those two teams out in the middle of I-75, and it would be a 3-point game.
Yeah.
I saw Bradley a couple of times this year. They're very impressive. I'm sorry they got the kid's name. Their running back. He's a sophomore. I can't remember.
He passed Coach Damon Floyd's single season rush yard record. He moves to second all time in rush.
I was very impressed all year long with Bradley, and I felt like they got better. As the season went along, they continue to get better. The night I saw them, I think they had about 5 people out against Ray County, and just I guess you might say run out of gas, with some depth issues. But Bradley's getting better. You better watch out. All 3 of those teams we just talked about, they've got sophomore running backs. It's going to be heard. They're going to be being heard from loud and clear.
Yeah, and just kind of piggybacking off of you talking about this game, we talked about when it happened the first time these two teams met back in the regular season, being region rivals, how it came down to the wire. Obviously, final play, Bradley Central hitting I think it was a 40-yard field goal at the buzzer to win by 3, of course. So you do the math, 3-point victory for the Bears and during the regular season, and a 3-point victory for the Admirals. Not even a touchdown separates these two teams this year. And one of the callers in the red zone, his name is Doc Hollywood. He's a big Bradley Central guy, keeps up with the Bears. And I remember him saying after that game or during that game how special that was, because those Bradley Central Farragut matchups have just been, claw scratchers for sure, and just fighting tooth and nail, until the final buzzer, obviously. And so and that was another one, guys. I was not surprised Farragut got the win, because Farragut's schedule and record is very deceiving. That's still a very good, tough football team. And and like we talked about before, it doesn't matter what records are. If you match up well with the team, you're going to show some success.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the case here with Farragut, because obviously they have something dialed up for Bradley Central every single time they play. So, big win for the Admirals, and looming large, a potential showdown. I think it's Maryville. I think this week we'll have to look.
They play Maryville this week.
So like we talked about before, it's just who's next in the Maryville sweepstakes in 6A. We talked about the same thing with Alcoa in 3A too. So that was a big win, especially on the road for the Farragut Admirals for sure.
Looking ahead, let's go ahead and dive right into the teams that would be in our area. The results from last week.
All right. Well, I guess let's kind of start down.
Right
I guess
top,
in 1A for sure. Obviously, we know our 1A powerhouse from now in the past and probably to the end of time. South Pittsburgh. They take care of business. I believe they defeated Clay County, and just a big win for those guys over there, and really just kind of. They're doing South Pittsburgh things. They scored 56 points last week or 2 weeks ago in their first round playoff game, and they won 45-7 last week against Clay County, and just kind of doing what they've been doing so far. Obviously they've dealt with some adversity this year with the coaching change. Not even midway through the season, and they found a way to kind of rally around each other as a community and as a program. They had two good guys in Heath Grider and Coach Wes Stone, kind of keeping that team together and doing South Pittsburgh things. That shows kind of the stability of the program that the Grider name has anchored in South Pittsburgh. And so just a huge congrats to South Pittsburgh. They're doing what they've done. They've had a couple close losses this year. Except for the one against Oakland, but that was a 6A powerhouse. We know about those guys. So they're just doing those things, looking like a strong contender to at least make it to the semifinals, and hopefully make it here and have a good home field advantage. But just a big 45-7 win for those guys, and I believe they showdown, I think, with Gordonsville at Bean Stadium. So that's another interesting matchup we'll kind of dive into when we do the preview. But another good team that has one loss on the year that the Pirates will be facing on Friday.
I agree. This just came popped in my head while we were talking about this. I know this is completely off of what where we're going in the postseason, but Grace went down to Panama City. We talked about this a little bit last week. I'm just going to read their tweet here. It said it was a disappointing end of the final football game today. It was stopped near the end of the third quarter due to several unsportsmanlike actions by both teams, resulting in penalties, and coaches made a mutual decision that the game should not continue. The official result was a no contest. The coaching staff is dedicated to teaching and guiding our young men through high-stress situations, and we're thankful for growth of character in the most of difficult. That just popped in my head. I remember when I was talking about Grace last week, so an unfortunate end to Grace's season, but, guys, you got to tip your caps to really the season that they had. They won a state championship. They were undefeated in the state, and then both coaches, mutually agreeing, hey, we're not going to have this, and it's an unfortunate end, but that's you got to do what you got to do.
But where have you seen or heard a situation like that between two coaches in a high tense situation, especially like not just a national tournament, but just a playoff atmosphere in general, saying, okay,
Absolutely.
This is getting out of hand. We just got to pull the plug and teach and that's the thing, teaching young men a lesson, right? Because, it sounds like it was just chippy throughout the entire game. I kind of kept up with that during that time. And then I had totally forgotten about they were playing in that game. And then I see that, I'm like, oh, well, what in the world happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, obviously it was just, it seemed like the moment kind of either got to the best of both teams and was getting out of hand. And, when things like that happen, Coach Stone, I'm sure you can attest to this, when both teams start, kind of losing their composures, you're not only at risk of, losing control, losing the game, but also unwarranted injuries possibly with that too, just losing your emotions. Obviously teenagers, we all been there, don't have our heads on straight, don't really have the experience to deal with that kind of adversity. But Wes, like you said, just a huge congrats to Coach Ateka and the Golden Eagles program over at Grace. Obviously, we know the situations they've dealt with. that they've dealt with. They've had plenty of challenges this year, and to like you said, to go undefeated during the regular season, win a state championship in your first year with an 8-man football team. I mean, that's definitely strong. I know they wanted to come back with a national championship, but at the same time, I mean, I think that's definitely a good story there, knowing and showing the kids that winning is not everything. You still got to learn how to handle yourself as a man. And that's definitely a tough way to end the year, but still a great season for Grace, no doubt.
Well, having competed with Grace when I was at Copper Basin, those folks are great people. They're not gonna let that foolishness go on. I don't know Coach Ateka like I did the other guys, but they were always class when we played them in basketball, baseball, football, softball, whatever we played them in. They were class people, and I hate to hear that, but lessons have to be learned.
I just wanted to bring that up. It popped in my head as I remember us talking about it last week, because it deserves to be talked about, their season, and then unfortunately what happened down there. But it's a good thing teaching those kids a lesson.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess we'll move on to 2A guys. Really, kind of two of the stronger teams in our area got second round playoff exits. Marion County lost Meigs County, like we talked about earlier. With the tough game against Trousdale County at home in that one. Meigs County lost 16-8 to Trousdale County. Like I mentioned, for Coach Fitzgerald's team not to get over 10 points was definitely a head scratcher. And then, for the Warriors, they played Watertown, another close game, 7-0. One touchdown, one score the entire game. So definitely a defensive struggle between those two teams. So kind of tough to see both those teams bounce, because I know Meigs, especially being the number one team in 2A throughout the whole year, they were definitely a favorite to get here for a state championship. So I definitely hate to see, both of those, Coach Pruitt and Coach Fitzgerald's squads have their seasons come to an end. As far as 3A goes, Loudon, we know about those guys. They took care of business 42-20 over Cannon County. They're going to take on Giles County at home this Friday at 7:00. Giles got a 45-0 win against Kingston last week. And I guess moving back into our, quote, teams that are in our coverage area somewhat, or in the city, Red Bank. This is a game that we covered for the Coca-Cola Red Zone last week, playing Macon County, a 47-7 Red Bank victory over Macon County. And what was crazy was 7:00 kickoff. Well, Macon County had bus issues getting to Red Bank, so the game was delayed for about 45 minutes to get them here. And their charter bus had flat tire problems, right? So they had to find school buses to pile on and get them into Red Bank. This was in Manchester. So when I saw the buses pull in the parking lot, it said Tullahoma City School. So I want to give those guys a shout out for getting Macon County there. And that should have been an indicator how the night was going to go for Macon County, because Red Bank continues to do what they've been doing, man, and just continue to, look strong. And, they've been one of the highest teams in the area. After starting off 1-3, they haven't lost a game. So they got another home game. They get to play at home once again against an Upperman team who won their region in 4A, 9-1 in the year, and got a big 40-14 win against DeKalb County last week. So I know Coach Brown, I asked him last week, I said, I don't care. You don't care who you're playing, do you? He said, no, we're playing here. So that's all that matters. They went 1-0 last week, and they get to host again. So that's definitely a huge thing for Red Bank. And, in 5A there, like we talked about, the Sean Bishop, Ethan Davis show for Ray County and Karnes. Ray County got a big win there, guys. It was 63-48, 10 touchdowns between both of those backs. And like we talked about, a big game at Powell this Friday night, and probably the biggest, most anticipated game of our coverage teams here for sure. So definitely good luck to Ray County going up there, taking on a very tough Powell team. No teams left in 6A. We talked about Bradley getting beat by Farragut there at home last week by 3 points. And so Division II, let's just move in there real quick. And the only team that was left from our coverage area was the Silverdale Seahawks, and they were taking on Trent Dilfer's Lipscomb Academy team. Kind of what we expected, a 56-7 Lipscomb Academy win over the Seahawks. And The main thing I took out of that, obviously, Lipscomb County is very good, but Silverdale, Turner Junkins for the Seahawks had a very, I think he got injured pretty good in that game, so definitely well wishes to him because he's a very good baseball player for the Seahawks too. And you hate to see injuries like that, especially in a game where it gets out of hand between those teams. But yeah, Lipscomb's looking strong and looking like another strong contender to make it here in a couple weeks when the Blue Cross Bowl gets started. 3A Baylor lost last week, guys, so their season comes to an end. They got shut out by NBA 35-0, and McCallie, they're opening up. They actually opened up their playoff stretch last week. A game that was kind of surprising to me. It was a 42-35 McCallie Blue Tornado victory over Father Ryan. So I think McCallie definitely shook the rust off and figured out some things, and now they're going to take on Pope John Paul II at Spear Stadium on Friday night in the semifinal round game of Division II AAA.
Buddy, team I want to mention real quick. Loudon beats Cannon County 40-20. Loudon moves to 11-1 on the year, and they win in their second playoff game. They will host Giles County this week. Giles County ranked number 2 in the state right now. Giles County, a very good football.
I think Giles, if you look at them, they've got apparently a high octane offense and a defense that's shut them down. Looking at all their scores.
Yeah, they Giles County looks to spread the ball all over the field, and the offense is very, very good for Giles County. So Loudon's defense is going to be tested this week.
One question I've got. Let's go back to Trent Dilfer. Reckon what classes he teaches during the day?
Well, you tell me, what classes were you teaching during the day?
Driver's ed, I bet.
Hey, I was a driver's ed PE teacher, but I did put in some years as a biology teacher and
there you go.
Physical science teacher. So, but I'd say Trent.
The kids word searches and told them, you're gonna watch film and give the kids word search.
No, we worked at it. We worked at it.
Well, that's how it was at McMinn Central. I just wanted the physical science wasn't very high on the totem pole.
Well, I don't guess I was either. I didn't teach honors physical science.
Oh, that's a good question, though. I'm not sure what he teaches. He may not teach anything. He may teach 7 periods of football or 4 blocks.
I mean, honestly, I don't think he has to worry about that, knowing kind of how Lipscomb Academy is. So it's all
I'd
good.
say he sits in his office and counts his money.
That's probably exactly what he does.
But that is a good-looking football team. I saw some highlights of them. They are a good-looking football team, and
yeah, they're strong.
They are strong. Well, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break. But on the flip side, I'm going to let Jeff introduce our guest tonight. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Be right back on the Friday Night Pressbox podcast.
I want to welcome you back to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports. And please be joined tonight by Mr. Tim Morgan. He is the Chief Sports Officer of Chattanooga Sports. Tim, I think I got that right. So tell me if you did. I know you will.
No, you did. You did.
Perfect. So just want to thank you for coming on. I know we're pulling the graveyard shift here when we're recording these things, but definitely appreciate you taking time out of your busy evening, really a busy few weeks for you guys to come on and kind of talk about a little small event people may have heard about that's going to happen here in a couple weeks in this area. So how's it going tonight?
It's going good. It's going good. It sounds like y'all have a lot of fun when you pull this graveyard shift. So I kind of enjoyed the last 10 minutes of just listening to the experts do what they do. So I appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
Well, I appreciate you using that term experts. I know you're using that term very loosely. So definitely appreciate that.
As for me, it's experts. Perks. Okay,
Don't say you're retired, Coach. You're
I'm
never
retired.
retired. No. Coaches are never retired.
But yeah, Tim, like we talked, I texted you, I think yesterday. I said, well, you talked to a few clowns on talk radio yesterday. You're ready to talk to a few clowns tonight, and you said I'm ready to go. So, like I say, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. And I guess just well, obviously everybody knows kind of the story. The Blue Cross Bowl is
Jeff,
you know
before we get started, I want to make one comment. I apologize for we were scheduled to do this last week, and I apologize. I had a good friend and a colleague that was a community leader, in Philip Grimes. He ran Outdoor Chattanooga for about 15 years, and we are in the event business, and everything that we did, whether it's an Ironman or a marathon, or he would have been a part of what we're getting ready to discuss with the Blue Cross Bowl. He passed away last week. So, with everything just compounding, I had to bounce out. So my apologies.
Oh, please, no worries. Yeah, that's more important than this little podcast. But just want to definitely pass along our well wishes to his family. I know that was kind of a sudden and a kind of surprising thing, and just we're thinking about the family there as well, and you, because I know you had a closer relationship.
Don't worry about me, but thank you for the comments on the family.
But I guess let's just kind of dive into it. And obviously we know what's coming up here in a couple of weeks. We're in the quarterfinal round this week of the playoffs, so that means 2 more weeks, man. The home stretch is here. I'm sure that the pressure's not there yet. I'm sure that'll kind of happen, with Thanksgiving coming up and stuff. But
what are you talking about? The pressure's here. We're 2 weeks out. The pressure it has been since Head of the Hooch ended. We had the Erlanger Chattanooga Marathon last weekend, and then now it's all preparation for the Blue Cross Bowl. And this is the very first broadcast that an interview we're doing. And after we had our very last walkthrough today, our very last walkthrough.
Guys, can we bring him back in 2 weeks on Wednesday night and see how he's doing?
No, after we get through the Blue Cross Bowl, I'm taking all of December off. I can assure you of that.
Oh, blame
Well, I mean, I guess talk about that, because obviously this is a big event, but like you mentioned, the Head of the Hooch, the Ironmans and stuff like that, and the TSSAA girls soccer tournament was in the last few weeks as well. So a lot going on for you and your team. Kind of talk about your team, because I've had a chance to meet you guys a little bit and kind of get to know you. So you guys got a great, strong group of people, kind of helping, lead down the one road that leads to great events in our city. So kind of talk about your team, if you can, for a little bit.
Yeah, so we are Chattanooga Sports is our regional sports commission. We focus on maximizing the economic and social impact that sporting events have on our community. There's big business in travel softball and travel soccer and all these. We want to make sure that we have the local experts and the passion to drive the success of those type of events in our market. And we also want to figure out how our local market and our local residents can benefit for being a part of it. And whether it's a youth soccer tournament or hosting the U.S. women's national team with other people, other teams back in, all these things run together, but we've done between the U.S. women's, the U.S. men's, the Ironman World Championships, we've had NCAA championships. Our team is dedicated to trying to bring sporting events here that make sense for our market. Bottom line, and Blue Cross Bowl makes absolute sense, because I feel we have a significant amount of dedicated football interest
absolutely,
and expertise that finds passion behind it. And if we have the opportunity to drive that passion and give our residents something to be a part of, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, no doubt. And I guess it all goes back to the spring, I believe, of this year in the bid process, for not just for you, but everybody who wanted to kind of have their hands and bring this event to their city. So I guess let's just start from the genesis of it. Kind of talk about the bid process and kind of the meeting process with the TSSAA and kind of how eventually what led to the big victory for you guys in bringing this great event here to the city.
Well, so I'm gonna go back a little bit further. 2012, I relocated here from Charlotte, North Carolina, to I don't want to say this the wrong way, but kind of change things with the Greater Chattanooga Sports and Events Committee, and they hired me to come in here and change things. Right. So when I first came here, they said, you're going to host the TSSAA Girls Soccer Championships. We've been doing it for a while, so all you need to do is just show up and do what we've been doing, and rinse and repeat. So I said, all right, we're gonna take a look at the holistic picture, and then we're gonna figure out what it looks like, and then we're gonna put our best foot forward on a very short time frame, which we did, and we made it work. But then after that, TSSAA, the whole point of this TSSAA, they left and they went to Murfreesboro for the girls' state soccer championships. Well, prior to that, y'all can speak to this better than I can. There was spring fling. There was all sorts of different TSSAA activity that just kind of went away. And so everybody kept asking me when I first arrived here in 2012, when are we getting spring fling back? When are we doing this? When are we doing that? And, I got to thinking about it. I said, well, the whole environmental conditions have changed from when we hosted spring fling originally. However, that doesn't mean we can't have a relationship with TSSAA. And so we stayed in touch with TSSAA. And then in 2020, one of the positives from COVID, right, was everybody, kind of off balance. Everybody's having to deal with situations. And I got a call from a gentleman by the name of Mark Reeves with TSSAA and just said, hey, because they had opened up a bidding process for girls soccer, for football, and for some other stuff. And he said, look, we're taking a look at or we need a location for wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, we're adhering to the rules and regulations of the governor. So that means we could be a viable option. Let me talk to all of our partners and cross those T's, dot those I's, and see if we can potentially host the wrestling championships in the beginning of this year and help them out, because Williamson County was down. They couldn't do it because of COVID regulations. And so this is a long-winded story. Bear with me, gentlemen. So, as we make things work, Mark says, let's do this. We do it. We host it. And you can talk to Steve Henry at Saudi Daisy. I'm sure y'all know Steve, and y'all can talk to, others, and collectively together as a team, all of us working together, Sports Commission and Steve Henry and Saudi Daisy and everyone else that supported. We made it successful under the COVID odds. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, that put us in a better position. So when we started going through this bidding process with football, there's a lot of politics that comes along with TSSAA. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Y'all know this. But what we wanted to demonstrate is for our community and the team that we create within the community, it's about the experience. That's what it was about with wrestling. It's about the experience. 2 weeks ago, for TSSAA girls soccer, it's about the experience. That's why we were willing and we wanted to make the investment of, working with 3 separate venues that ultimately had turf fields or have distinct, positioning with being able to host, a large event with GPS, with Baylor, with CCS, and then having the quarterfinals and the semifinals for girls soccer, and then feeding that tournament into CHI Memorial, which right now is the only professional soccer stadium in the state of Tennessee, and having these girls teams that work very hard to compete for a state championship, compete in the only soccer stadium in the state of Tennessee. It's about the experience. And I'm always going to say that, all of our partners and all of our, supporters help us provide that experience, and all of the volunteers that are a part of it help us provide that experience. And that's what we're trying to do here in 2 weeks. So we did it with wrestling. When I say we, I'm saying our community. I'm not saying Chattanooga Sports. Chattanooga Sports is nothing. We're nothing without the partners that we work with and we collaborate with to make these things happen. When I say we, I say our community. We made it work for wrestling. We made it work for girls soccer, and we want to make it work for the Blue Cross Bowl coming up in 2 weeks. But I do want to take a break during Turkey Day and actually have a vacation for like a day.
So you talk about the experience, so for the student, in the past, you've talked about the experience. What are the experiences going to be like on these game days? Not only for student athletes and coaches, but for the everyday fan. If I come down there and watch, not even say I don't get allowed a media pass. Say I just go down there as an everyday fan. What are some of the
Yes, you talk to Jeff. He'll get you a media.
I've tried to talk to Jeff, man. I am doing my best, and I want to be down there and cover it. But what are some of the experiences going to be like for the everyday common fan just to go down there and watch football?
All right, so man, y'all getting the rundown before everyone else. So basically, what it boils down to is there are a couple obstacles that always stopped us from being able to host the Blue Cross Bowl in the past, because we tried. Once again, for timeline's sake, came here in 2012, 2016-ish, I believe it was. We evaluated the Blue Cross Bowl and tried to figure out how we can make that work. Didn't work. The environmental conditions were completely different this last bid cycle. And Mark Wharton and UTC were a major part of that. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to answer your question from the perspective of it's important to us. And because it's important to us, we have the experience for all teams when they make it to the Blue Cross Bowl. They're going to be showing up at one location, and then they're going to be getting a police escort into Finley Stadium. They're going to be getting an opportunity, pending on what their schools want to do. We have space. First Horizon Pavilion, directly adjacent to Finley Stadium. We have space to utilize pregame activity. That's going to be the Body Armor pregame experience. If I'm one of those schools that really truly wants to make it an experience for their kids, then their prep rallies, their all of their booster clubs are going to take a look at, securing space within the First Horizon Pavilion so they can get out there and, be a part of these kids. These kids walk. We really wanted to present a championship walk through the First Horizon Pavilion, just like the Mocs do. I mean, the Mocs do a pretty cool collegiate experience on walking through the First Horizon with a bunch of tailgating going on and go into their event.
It's awesome.
If you have bands on either side and you have cheerleaders on either side and you have people that are in there tailgating, experiencing fun. We're going to have inflatables. We're going to have, for the kids, we're going to have and I stress this, family-friendly music from a DJ. We're going to have a couple different interactive games, some cornhole boards laid out. So there's going to be a couple vendors in there, but it's really just going to be a time for people to have that pregame experience and fun inside of what will also be the Blue Cross Blue Zone, where they give out a bunch of giveaways and they give out a bunch of shot skis and whatnot.
So I mean, Tim, when you say family friendly music, does that mean no Yay Alabama? I see the stuff on your wall behind you. So
it's going to be a Roll Tide roll now.
You got to take away his press pass and just give it directly to me after that.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. No, but I know you're a big Alabama fan, Tim, so I had to give you a little bit of grief there. But when you say that, for sure, that mock walk, as they call it, Saturday game days there for the Chattanooga Mocs is just, that should be anybody that's watching this that has been there and seen this. It doesn't matter what it is. You can do the walk from Alabama into Bryant-Denny Stadium, or the Vol walk going into Neyland Stadium. Imagine that on a high school football state championship stage.
All right. So let me get y'all's opinion. I said that I literally said, this is what we want to do. We want every single team to do that walk. And they basically said, it ain't going to happen. TSSAA said the coaches aren't going to want it. Coach, Mark, come on. Give me your feedback on that.
I'm going to tell you, I spent 30 years coaching in Tennessee, and went to Nashville, went to Murfreesboro, and I never did like, the teams just kind of showed up and, muddled around. And I really didn't like that. I felt like, you've got, of course, I never got to experience that, but you got 50, 60, 75, 100 kids out here, and you walk them down that pavilion, down into their dressing room. That's gonna raise some hair on some kids' arms. And, I just never could understand, that sort of thing. I'd be the first one on. Yes, our team's going to get off the bus down there, and we're going to go through the pavilion. Our band's going to play, and our fans are going to be over, cheering us on.
That's what we want, Coach. But I'm listening to the experts, and they're telling me not everybody's going to want that. They're going to some are going to be laser focused, and they're going to be, this is business, and I get that 100%.
No, I would do it. I would do it. First of all, for the experience, because you can't do it on a Friday night at your home field. You go eat and you come back and you're getting off the bus in the parking lot at 4:30, and there's 15 moms and dads, and you walk through there and they're cheering them. That's the biggest walk that they get. But I would be disappointed in coaches that wouldn't do that.
Yeah, we'll see. Once again, I'm not going to. I'm going off of the technical knowledge that is from a location that's been there for 10 years. We're providing them a new environment. We're providing them a new scenario. So we really, honestly, you can plan till you're blue in the face, but this is all new for everybody. So we're going to figure it out. And like I said, we had a meeting today. TSSAA, we had a meeting today with our professionals within the community that are going to help define that experience. And they are the experts at what they do. Once again, I go back to Chattanooga sports is like the tip of the spear. But if you actually knew how long that spear was, with all of the partnerships that help define the success of an Ironman or a Head of the Hooch or a Blue Cross Bowl or a TSSAA or soccer championship, I mean, you would definitely raise your eyebrows, because the one thing we haven't been good at over the past 10 years is communicating to our local residents in our community, our organization that's behind the curtain, that's kind of, working with all of our community partners to do this. Well, it's time. It's time. And, it's time because we can't do this without UTC giving us the date guarantee to even bid on the Blue Cross Bowl. We can't do this without Mark Wharton and him talking to Coach Rusty and talking to others saying, we want to do this, but we want your technical expertise to figure out whether or not we can actually legitimately make this happen if there was a perfect storm. And I'll tell you one thing, when I got that phone call, I'll never forget it. I was up in Harrison, believe it or not, at a barbecue restaurant up in Harrison. And I finally said, we're coming up on the nth hour to submit the bid. We're prepped and ready, but we haven't gotten the confirmation for the date guarantee. And I called Mark and I said, all right. He goes, dang it, man. I know why you're calling me. and he said, let's do this. And I said, you freaking kidding me?
Love it.
He said,
Love
let's
it.
do this. I said, my man. I said, be ready for what you just unleashed.
No doubt.
I think Chattanooga's going to kill this thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I really do. I think they're going to. You guys are going to do a super job. You're doing some things. Like I said, I coached in Tennessee for 30 years, and been to Nashville, been to Murfreesboro, been to Cookeville, and it's just it's almost like some years ago when Tennessee was playing California. We were standing on the sidewalk, and there was some guys from California standing there, and he said, "Wow," he said, "this happens every Saturday. This environment happens every Saturday." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Heck, we can stay. We can leave home an hour before the football game, pull in this parking lot right over here, and park and walk in." And but I think you guys, I think y'all are going to do it, and I'll be very disappointed if the schools and the coaches do not participate in something like that. I know.
So, Coach, I will tell you this: the biggest challenge that we're encountering right now is just the unknowns. This is new. This is new for the schools. It's new for us. And after our meeting today, we have 2 weeks left. We're going to do a lot of adjusting in a 2-week time frame to try to capitalize on, once again, maximizing that experience for all involved. And it's not going to be of lack of effort for if people say anything negative, but we believe we're all. I believe, as the individual that's trying to, keep all of our partners working towards that unified front, I thoroughly believe that we're all doing everything in our power to achieve the objective of demonstrating who we are as a community to the football teams and coaches across the state to verify TSSAA made the right decision.
I think you're gonna fill that place up. I think Southeast Tennessee, East Tennessee, and North Georgia. Their state championships is the next week, if I'm not mistaken. And because this is their second week, right? This is our third. But I think you're going to fill the seats up. I think you're going to have a very successful thing, and it's going to be we got to go back there. And I'm so excited. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
But well, Tim, I know you got things to do. Obviously, the final stretch is here, buddy, and I just want to thank you for taking time to join us and kind of promote, this event, and hopefully we can have you on leading up to the actual weekend coming up, because it's going to be an incredible weekend. I guess for anybody out there that's wanting to volunteer or get involved with everything going on in the weekend, kind of, I guess, real quick, if you can, how can people get in touch with you guys to get on the list to help this event be as strong as it's going to be?
All right, so they can send an email to volunteers@chattanoogasports.com. We are actually we're giving back to our local residents that are not-for-profit organizations that can corral the groups together and have them come out and fulfill a specific role and responsibility with the event. Through the event budget, we'll give a group grant back to that group based on number of volunteers, number of hours they put in, and then the scope of work that they fulfilled. We will make sure that it is all, that there will be communication through our volunteer coordinator to make sure everybody's on the same page on the expectations, is basically what it boils down to. But this is a way through the event budget that the Blue Cross Bowl can give back to our local residents. That everybody needs fundraising opportunities. I mean,
Sure.
you sell, people are trying to wash cars, sell cookies. Don't do that. Come out to the Blue Cross Bowl. Have your group be ticket takers for a day, and I promise you, it's probably going to be a little more beneficial than washing cars on a first come first serve basis. So anyway, volunteers@chattanoogasports.com is the email to reach out for that. And then once again, if you just want to experience it, go to CHA Championships. So we purchased the URL chachampionships.com because this year and next year, Chattanooga Championships, that's the CHA Championships. This year and next year, we have high school championships being hosted in Chattanooga again, 23 through 26. Hopefully, we will have high school championships being hosted in Chattanooga, but we will definitely have collegiate championships being hosted in Chattanooga. So that's why we're kind of building this brand of Chattanooga Championships, whether it's high school championships or collegiate championships. They're happening in Chattanooga. We're bringing them here.
Let me ask you one more question. One of the things, I know Jeff probably remembers it, and I know Wesley doesn't. They hosted the football championships down there that year, and the field come apart.
Oh, I blame that on Merrill Eckstein. Who's going to put turf down 2 weeks prior to hosting a national championship?
Who?
Merrill Eckstein.
Have they put? Is the field turf now?
It is.
It's turf. It's upgraded turf. It was turf, and then it was upgraded a couple of years ago, and then there was a problem with insurance, so now it's even more upgraded.
I'm telling you, that one night was the most embarrassing thing I ever seen in my life.
We ain't got to worry about that this year, do we, Tim?
No,
there you go.
I'll tell you, I give Merrill a hard time. Merrill did a lot of great things, but that one, I remember watching it and watching people pull the plastic out of their cleats. And that was a struggle.
But
we learned from it, though.
We can put that to rest, right?
Yes, sir.
And Wesley, he will buy us a suite up there where we can sit, right, Wesley?
I will.
Yeah.
I can't just do that. I've got to get a press pass first, Coach.
but
Work through Jeff. Jeff has connection.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah.
well, Tim, thank you for
Jeff.
Tim, thank you for taking the time to join us, brother, and just continued success to you and the team, and for the community watching this, get out, support it, and support this great cause, and let's have some fun. So, Tim, thank you again for the time. We'll talk soon, bud.
Hey, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun doing this. So Appreciate y'all letting me be long-winded.
Absolutely.
No, it was great. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we've got about 5 minutes to look forward to next week and one quick question. So we'll be right back on the Friday Night Pressbox podcast. All right, welcome back to the Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team F Line Sports. Jeff, would you list the games our area teams are playing in this week? Loudon hosts Giles County. We know that one.
Yep. Let's knock this out real quick. In 1A, we talked about South Pittsburgh. They are taking on Gordonsville. That is going to be at South Pittsburgh, 7 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock Eastern. There at Bean Stadium. In 2A, we have no teams left, but another great matchup there to keep an eye on. Watertown, Trousdale County. That should be a great game, especially with Trousdale doing what they did last week to Megs. Moving to 4A, you mentioned the Loudon game. They're in the 3A playoffs. 4A, Red Bank taking on Upperman. Another great game between two region champions. 9-1 Upperman taking on a 7-3 regular season Red Bank team. I think Red Bank that's going to be a great atmosphere there at Red Bank Community Stadium. The game of the week, I think there's no doubt about this. Powell hosting Ray County in the 5A quarterfinal round there up close to Knoxville. A region matchup there, Maryville and Farragut, because we know Farragut's 3-point win against Bradley Central got them to that point. And then the only team left in Division II is the favorites to go back in Division II AAA, McCallie, hosting Pope John Paul II there at Spears Stadium on Friday night here in town. So if you're in town, and if you want to go check out one of those games, go to Red Bank, go to McCallie, and go support some great high school football. Or if you're up in Knoxville, go check out that Ray County Powell game, because that's going to be the game of the week, I think, for sure.
All right, so we do that. We've started doing this. Thanks for listing those games, by the way. We're going to do a start bench cut. I don't know where Coach Stone went. He'll come back.
Well, Coach Stone got cut, so.
Coach Stone did get cut. Start bench cut. We're going to do Thanksgiving traditions, okay? Thanksgiving traditions, start bench cut. We're going to do, for me, this is what we always did. After you get done eating, after you get done, you sit around and you look at the Black Friday deals in the paper. You circle in Sharpie what you do, what you want from Sam. Okay, so that's one. Number 2, movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's like the only Thanksgiving movie ever. But we're just going to go with any movie, Thanksgiving Day. Or 3, the Detroit Lions playing on Thanksgiving Day football. So start bench cut, Black Friday deals in the paper, any movie, or Thanksgiving Day football.
Coach Stone, go ahead. You go first.
I'm going Black Friday first. If I said that, Linda's not going to be happy. If I cut them, no way. I'm going to cut the Detroit Lions, and then I'm going to bench the movie.
Okay.
What about you, Wes?
Home Alone.
Home Alone's a Christmas movie, though. But that is your favorite movie, though, isn't it?
After you put those taters and turkey
it's Christmas time, baby.
It's Christmas. Why are you looking on Friday, Black Friday?
All right, I will do. See, I'm a big fantasy football guy, so I used to there'd be somebody playing on Thanksgiving Day, so that would be so. But I'm going to start the Black Friday paper deals. I'm going to bench football and cut the movie. I just feel like the football on Thanksgiving Day, eating a turkey leg, watch it. Used to watch Calvin Johnson,
I'll be
Detroit Lions
football game. There's something going on in front of that football game. Yeah.
Or the
For me,
Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, the dog show. I forgot about all these. Man, they're good.
forget those things. Let's start the football. Luckily, there's more than one NFL game on Thanksgiving Day, so the Lions can't make us feel worse than we do by eating too much turkey. We'll definitely start that. I will have to say bench. Looking through and finding our Black Friday deals, and then cutting the movie for sure.
Okay, all right. That's all three of us were different. Every week, most every week. So, guys, we want to thank you for tuning in to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast. Be sure to like it and share it, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week.